I met a guy, this is a true story. I went to an escape room with 10 of my friends, and one of them brought someone that they thought would be a good match for me, romantically.
Oh.
10 of them brought him?
No, one of them brought him.
Oh.
So I'm in the room, and this guy's flipping mattresses. We're in a zombie apocalypse child care room.
How many places are there?
There's lots.
Oh, hundreds.
He's
Are they
flipping
licensed, or is it
He's
just
not.
a-
He's not letting anyone. Is anyone listening to this?
Yeah.
He's not listening.
He's not letting anyone do anything, and I said, not a good partner for life.
That was a team building.
Then it wasn't good because
It
this
was
guy
good.
was taking control.
I've seen marriages end in rooms.
Oh.
No.
Me too, at my house.
There should be a Marc Maron theme escape room.
Oh, there is. Talk to a few of my exes.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name's Jenelle Riley. Let me turn this on.
There we go.
My name's Jenelle Riley. I'm an editor of Variety. I'm so thrilled to welcome you out for this opening weekend, in Los Angeles anyway, for Sword of Trust. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for supporting independent film. At this time, please join me in welcoming some of the artists who brought this movie to life. Writer, director, producer Lynn Shelton, and stars Marc Maron, John Bass, and Gillian Bell. I don't think this stage was here before. Did you guys build this just for this?
Just for us.
Seriously, I don't remember this being here last time. That's really impressive.
We're going to share.
Here, you can have this.
Makes it very uncomfortable being on the stage without a mic in his hand.
Terrible.
That wasn't
Now I
planned,
feel better.
swear. Oh yeah, you might have to turn them all
Thanks
on.
for coming, you guys.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you so much. Whenever I have people as accomplished as you all are, I actually like to go to the beginning and, I don't know, take you down a peg a little and just ask, what was your first job in this industry? The first time you felt you could call yourself a filmmaker, call yourself an actor?
I was always a comic, but there was a brief period there. The first time I worked out in LA, I was a PA on a shoot for some video series that were kids' videos, and it was at the Circus Vargas off season, so it was docked. It was a docked Circus Vargas. And I just remember there were two clowns there for the videos, and after we shot all day, one of them was like, you want to get high? And I'm like, yeah, I want to get high. And they're like, let's go to the trailer. So we go to the clown trailer. It's just me and two clowns.
In full makeup?
That's the problem. Like, they were lighting up the joint. I'm like, you guys gotta take the makeup off. I don't think I can really fucking process what's happening.
Wow.
Yeah, top that.
Yeah. I can't. John, what was your first job?
Book of Mormon on Broadway.
Yeah! Ouch!
Just tepid applause.
Oh yeah.
Heard of
Come
it.
on.
That's a big first job.
That was
Yeah.
the first one. Yeah.
Did you take over right from Josh Gad?
Not right over
Okay.
Josh Gad. There was another guy, and then me, and then another guy after me. They just started rolling us out.
Yeah,
As
rolling
many
out those
like
older
chubby,
funny
funny
guys.
guys they could find. We were just in a rotation at that point.
You joke, but they all end up in spelling bee, I've noticed.
I never did, but yeah, I've heard a lot of them have.
Jillian.
My first job was as a co-star on a show called Worst Week, but my second job was on Curb Your Enthusiasm. You're kidding! That was my second job, and it was a big guest star with like Jerry Seinfeld.
The halter top, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's so
where I was
good.
very confident in a crop top. Too confident. And but yeah, it was. I mean, what a crazy. That was. I was like, this is my second job. We had no idea because you just audition and then come and then find out like, oh, you're coming back again tomorrow. So everything is just sort of up in the air. Like there was one scene where they're just like, come on in, and then here's the 7 things you need to get done in this scene. basically like what we did in this movie. And then they said, oh, by the way, just, this is Jerry Seinfeld. And I was like, oh, hi. And then they're like, you ready? Action.
How terrifying would it have been if like Lynn just one day was like, we don't need you tomorrow.
I never to say Lynn's like, here's Jerry Seinfeld. You're in this shit. Okay, great.
If all of a sudden you're just like, we don't need you anymore.
I fired Mark, and here's Jerry is now playing
You
Mel.
see this movie with Jerry Seinfeld as Mel?
Oh, God, no.
What's happening?
Wait, I want to tell my story. My very first, I realized my first TV gig for movies or TV was I got to edit. I was an editor before I was a director, and I got to edit like 8 short films for Sesame Street, directed by Mo Willems, who, if you have kids, might know him as a famous children's book author. But we did crazy, like, funny downtown theater together with Toby Huss in the 90s in New York, and before he became a famous book author.
Oh, he's Elephant and Piggy.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
and
brilliant.
Knuffle Bunny and all those guys. Oh, the pigeon, don't let the bus. Anyway, yeah, there were giant letters involved on the beach. Anyway,
I think you need to give Mark the mic and we can share, because he looks uncomfortable with that one.
Good call.
Yes, now he's at home. I do want to start at the beginning with this movie, because you and Mark have collaborated several times on television, and I understand this really came about because you wanted to work with him.
yes, we had been writing a movie ever since I got to direct his show Maron on IFC. We liked working together, and so we started to write a movie, and it was going very slowly, and it still is.
Almost done.
Years later.
Almost done.
So I got frustrated and said I really, really want to get on set with you again, and he, not knowing that G.L.O.W was going to happen, serendipitously, but he said, okay, well, why don't you go just write another movie to get me off his back, and me and Ed and I'll give you a couple weeks. And we'll
I
make
don't
it
think
happen.
I said it with that tone, and you've repeated that story over and over again. I just let it slide. I really.
What's your version, Mark?
Well, I don't think I said I'll give you a couple weeks. I said just go write a movie, and I just assumed it wouldn't happen. And then later, my manager called me and said, you know, Lynn's actually doing this. I'm like, no, she's not. And he goes, yes, it's going to happen. I'm like, how long is it going to take?
He called me every week, and I didn't realize it was you telling him to call me, because I just assumed it was him doubting it, but it turns out it was you doubting it.
It didn't seem possible that you'd pull a movie together that quickly, and then it was like. Then,
That's what I do, Mark. I make.
I know, but I talked to movie makers before, and usually it's like it takes years, and it's heartbreaking, and it doesn't go anywhere, and you know, so I just figured, like, let her do that. But then, you know, we were all down there in Alabama. I came and I had 2 weeks.
It happened fast. I mean, you shot this movie in, did you say?
2 weeks.
12 days.
12 days,
Right.
right.
And how did you
Well,
guys come to
hot
be
days.
involved? Did you do an audition, do you?
No, I didn't audition.
John, however.
Several. Did you audition?
I had to do 10 auditions for this.
No.
No.
I called them.
I think what happened is.
Second to the last day of shooting, you got
Yeah,
fired.
exactly. No, I think what happened is Lynn asked Jillian, do you know any people who you think would be funny in this role, blah, 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 this is what it is, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, and Jillian and I met maybe once before, but one of her best friends is in this show that I did a long time ago called Big Time in Hollywood, Florida.
It's amazing. If you
And it's
haven't watched
amazing.
Comedy
No
Central.
one's watched it. Listen to that applause.
Oh, there's one person.
That's my brother. So pretty much what happened is Lynn watched a couple clips of this show that I did, and she was like, "Yeah, he's funny." And then I got a call, and 2 weeks later, I was in Birmingham.
I think Michaela put in a good word for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, for
And
sure.
then-
And Michael Bryan.
Yes, and then we met and fell madly in love.
You forgot the part where she told you to come to meet me.
Oh yeah.
You emailed me and said, "Hey, it's John Bass."
Yeah,
And
John
so we should-
Bass.
I wanted any of the actors who are going to
wrong.
have characters that have pre-existing relationships to actually, meet each other and hang out. And Jillian and Michaela and I all had snacks.
Mark, tell them how you just like.
But you guys,
Yeah,
that
Mark,
He
I
comes to
wasn't
the comedy
happy about.
store you know, I'm doing sets and we decided to meet there, and he immediately annoyed me. That was my feeling.
I loved him so much.
That's annoying to me. That's annoying to me.
The first thing I said to him, the first thing I emailed him, I was like, Mark, I'm so excited. I just read your book. I read his fucking book.
And you were like, John, you were
Listen
like,
to this little
you said to me,
sweetheart.
you were like, I love cats too.
Yeah.
I have some geographical thing. I don't even know what it was. Like, we have so much in common. I'm Jewish.
We're Jewish, not to be. I mean, it's just like the list goes on, except I enjoy life.
Do you though?
No, let's be honest.
But then come and what happened?
No, but then I come. Look. Mark and I have a very fun relationship. I annoy him, and he lets me do it.
It's how I had it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not asking for anything else. And so pretty much what happens is I show up to the comedy store, and he meets me, and he's like he sees me. We've been emailing now, back and forth, and he sees me, and he goes, "Hey, Don." I go, "It's John." And he goes, "All right, come on, let's go." And took me out on this amazing tour of the comedy store. It was I had an amazing time. I had a good time.
No, I had a good time. But you annoy me.
I know.
But it's okay.
I know it's okay.
Okay.
That's how it goes.
It's really the perfect dynamic for the movie, though. I mean, I think it works. I think
Yeah.
when you say annoying, you mean it in an affectionate way, right?
Sure. No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Most things annoy Mark, so it's really not that high of a bar.
Only for a second. Then I get through it and I'm like, okay.
I am curious about the way that you sort of work, because this is largely improvised, if not completely improvised. I know you work off a script mint. I'm curious, is that intimidating for the actors, and why do you like to do it this way? I know you don't always. You've done scripts.
Yeah, my second, third, and fourth films were improvised. A lot improvised. And I've done various, Hump Day was a 10-page treatment with no dialogue.
I'm sorry, she said Hump Day?
Sister was 80 pages of pre-written dialogue that people could use or not at their will, like a safety net. This was 45, 50 pages or something like that, a document that was some of the scenes quite written out, the Mel Deirdre scene was really written, kind of pre-written, but we used it, we were loose with it. And then the back of the van scene, which is arguably the heart of the whole movie, it was said they get to know each other in the back of the van, and we worked that out on the day. And I'd given them homework, so they all had a lot of backstory. Jillian came up with the hopes and dreams of her character regarding the escape room. There was also a paint your own.
Some of that is just true to my own life. I really enjoy an escape room. If you haven't done it, try it. You might like it.
And Mark really didn't know what one was, so he had to be
Mark,
told
how
on the
much
day.
would I have to pay you to meet me tomorrow night at 8 o'clock at the Hollywood Escape Hotel?
There's a hotel?
There's a whole hotel with different themed rooms.
What if I'm frustrated at the first room?
Well, no, you only do one room. I mean, you can do two, but who are we?
Right.
You know?
I don't know.
I'm gonna say 10 grand.
No, I mean, I would do it if it was a surprise.
If it was so if I surprised you, if I said just meet me in this corner, don't look up what's there, would you meet me?
Yeah, it'd have to be a few of you that say you should come down
you'd
or I'll
be
do
like,
anything.
Lynn's here and
No,
well,
I'll
John's
be
not
I'm
coming. I'm just joking, John.
It doesn't really sound great to me. It honestly doesn't sound great to me.
Let me sell it to you. 60 minutes.
60
60.
in that room.
You're in a room for an hour. You can open the door if you'd like. So you're
And
not.
leave. You can leave
Yeah,
at
you
any
can't
time.
leave. So
Well,
you
that
don't
doesn't
really have
seem
to.
genuine to me.
Yeah.
Like that, it should be good luck.
Yeah. But you can pretend that it's locked. That's what you can
The
decide.
rooms I've been to, they don't let you out.
You
They
go
lock
in?
the door all the time. There is a escape room.
Things, raise your hand.
Horrifying.
Just one, even if it's been once.
The Jumanji room
There's
is
a good
amazing.
amount. That's a good good amount.
There's an evil possessed doll room in the valley.
That's horrifying.
It is genuinely horrifying.
I'm gonna get the info on that before.
Oh, and they're good team building exercises. Like you team building.
Yeah, work together. I met a guy. This is a true story. I went to an escape room with 10 of my friends, and one of them brought someone that they thought would be a good match for me, romantically.
Oh.
10 of them brought him?
No, one of them brought him.
Oh.
So I'm in the room, and this guy's flipping mattresses. We're in a zombie apocalypse child care room.
How many places are there?
There's lots.
Oh, hundreds.
He's
Are they
flipping
licensed
things.
or is it
He's
just
not.
weird?
He's not letting anyone. Is anyone listening to this?
Yeah.
He's not listening.
He's not letting anyone do anything, and I said, not a good partner for life.
That was a team building.
Then it wasn't good because
It
this
was
guy
good.
was taking control.
I've seen marriages end in rooms.
Oh.
No.
Me too, at my house.
There should be a Mark Maron theme escape room.
Oh, there is. Talk to a few of my exes.
We'll find one that's cat safe.
Usually takes a few years though. A long escape room, about 3.5 years in, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
I actually have a question about this. Did this happen on set where like were you guys cracking each other up in
Yes. Was that song she sang went on for an
That's-
hour. Like fucking hell, like those takes with Toby coming into the room over and over again. We had to get, it was hard to get them where you weren't laughing. And then it gets so fucking crazy. It was hilarious. Hawk
Yeah.
shoe? What the fuck is that?
It's so weird. I remember Lynn was like, okay, what are we thinking for this? And I was like, I have something I think, but I don't know. I just want to do something silly.
She just sprung it on all of us on the day. It was amazing.
And then I walked up to her, I was like, wait, what do you, I could do something else. And you were like, no, stop singing.
Keep
To
singing.
your weird racist grandfather.
It's so beautiful. It's a poetic moment. No, it's one of the reasons why I can't believe we shot it in 12 days because we were laughing so hard. It was like, how do we get anything done? Yeah.
Probably could have done it in 2 days, but the rest was.
Whew, yeah, exactly.
I am curious though, is it, you guys are great improvisers. I've actually seen you both before, and you did stand up, you still do stand up. So you're comfortable in this genre, I think, but is it intimidating when you're doing a story, when you're creating a character and you have to stay true to that character?
I mean, Jillian donned an accent.
I know, I was the only one. I got on the plane and I was talking to John, how about this accent we've been working on? And he's like, I'm out. I was like, I'm the only one. I went to a dialect coach and she was like, all right, hand me the script. And I was like, at that point, I don't even think I had the script then. So,
Yeah.
so I was like, just in general? She goes, in general? And taught me some things, but I was sort of like, oh man, I don't know. But
I thought
I created my backstory specifically to avoid the accent.
Exactly.
you did.
Really?
Oh
That's
yeah,
very smart.
for sure.
Oh, so smart.
I got cast in some other thing in Boston, and I said to Pete Berg, I'm like, I can't fucking do the accent. He's like, you don't have to. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. I'm not gonna be packing any Cas. It's the worst accent to fuck up.
I do feel like there were days though, we would talk about this, like at the end of the day, where we'd be like, oh, today I was just an extra.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of creating something in a moment, you're like, well,
Well,
this
because
scene
it's
is
all
between you
yeah.
and Michaela.
It's all improvised, and Michaela and Mark would just go at it so hard. Like Michaela would come in and go, "All right, let's talk turkey. Let's fucking talk turkey tonight." And and you're like, there's like a part of you that's just like, I'm staying out of this.
Like, they got it.
They got it.
They got it in that
So
moment.
yeah,
It's witnessing the history of Jewish relationships.
Well, Mark had a great analogy when we were doing a Q&A once. He described it as being like, he was very frustrated the first couple days because he's used to owning having all the words himself because he's on stage and he's saying all the things. And then it was hard to get used to
Team building.
The team building thing. And then it was like, you came with this great analogy, and it was like learning it was like playing jazz, right? And you gotta give time, you gotta give stage time to each other. You gotta support each other to create the whole, but you also gotta give each other time to, for the solos, basically.
Well, I was
you know.
intimidated just because like I don't really come from like sketch comedy or stage improvising.
Used to be your
I
groundlings.
do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Thank you for fleshing it out
Yeah,
a little bit. UCB or groundlings, correct. Those would be two examples of that type of work. Thank you, and that was tremendous. Do you want to, like, some of those people end up on SNL and other sketch-oriented shows.
Mad TV.
Yeah, of course. It's a very prominent in show business now that people come out of those places.
Kids in the Hall was earlier.
I did not come out of it. But I do, that's how I write my comedy. But my problem was, like, they're used to it. Like, I'm not the kind of guy, you give a hat to and go, like, be the guy who wears this hat. And I'm like, oh, this guy. Like, it was very, like I felt like they could all do that. Like, you give them a hat and then they're, hey, who's that person? That's the hat person. So I can only do what I can do. And, yeah, you know what I'm saying. Yeah. So, like, I was intimidated, and I said to Lynn, I think you're being very diplomatic, but I think what I said to you was like, if you don't fucking ground these people and get them into real characters, I'm just going to be sitting there saying nothing and being the straight man. And then, and she goes, you're the lead of this movie. I'm like, doesn't seem like it. And then that was day one, and I got better.
We did, to be fair, there was one scene that I think got cut way down, but it was like all of us improvising. It was the
In the
first time
parking
we
lot?
met Hogjaws, and he pulls up in the car.
In the car, where you yelled.
And that's not
That's
it, right?
No.
No, I screamed at the top of my lungs. We don't go, we're not going, we go, or we don't go. Like, we're just screaming, and you were making up stories about being my boyfriend, and Michaela was like, he's got a drinking problem, and some of that still
Yeah.
But like,
Just
we
a
were
little
going to an 18, and Mark goes, what are we doing? Like, I remember he stopped us and said, what are we doing here during a take?
You got crazy.
I'm curious though, because you guys were talking outside, we were talking about that tremendous scene in the back of the truck and that amazing monologue that I was sure was scripted, but apparently you were improvising. I mean, and that's, did you say it was like an hour and 20?
There was one take that we did that was an hour 20.
And that day was so bad. It was like, we were all looking forward to being in a studio. It was supposed to be air conditioned, was not. So now we're in an air conditioned studio in a truck.
In Birmingham.
Yeah, it was fucking nuts, and it was going on forever and ever. And I was not doing well that day.
And the crazy thing is that close-up on him during doing that beautiful performance was one of the last things we shot that day. So he was at the peak of his aggravation and exhaustion and anger, and he channeled it all into this incredibly beautiful performance. And then we were all slapping each other on the back and hugging, and it's like, oh my God, we made it. We got through the day, and everyone's looking around. We're to high five Mark, and he's like, where'd Mark go?
I had to walk away.
It's better.
I had to walk away.
He left.
I was about to ruin the day for everyone. And I thought, it's a mature decision. Just walk away, take a breath.
No joke, and I know this is going to annoy you.
No, I'm not.
But that part is so amazing, and you do such a good job. It really is beautiful.
I like to tell. I don't want to tell. The first time I saw the movie, I got choked up at my own performance.
That's wonderful, genuinely.
That's really sad. That guy's sad.
We should be able to appreciate when we kick ass at something. I
don't know if that was what was happening, but like, when I first saw the movie, you don't know what's going to happen with these movies. I didn't even know if it was going to get done, and and I had no expectations. And when it screened at South by for a full audience, like, I couldn't see what he was doing or what she was doing. I had no idea. You're in these things, and there's all this other stuff going on. It was hilarious, and like right away the audience was laughing. I just couldn't believe it was happening. And it was really an amazing experience, because I don't generally watch myself. Do you?
Love it.
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't. But it's also, we didn't know what the film was a little bit. Like, we know sort of, but you could kind of go in many different directions with it. Like
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
there was takes that we did that were way wackier.
I mean, there's
or
1,000 hours of footage of Toby Huss
Oh.
just doing the most insane shit, and it's
Toby
all
Huss's
hilarious.
Hogjaws.
Yeah, Hogjaws, and it's all hilarious. The movie could have been called Hogjaws.
There's a spin-off
The
out there.
experience,
Oh,
you know?
certainly.
And the first cut was 2.5 hours long. This is 90 minutes, 88 minutes, and I'm a firm believer that comedy needs to be that, that length. And I was like, I don't know how we're gonna cut out 2 minutes, much less an hour. It was all gold. It was so funny. But I gotta give props to somebody who I believe is in the audience, Tyler Cook. Are you here, Tyler? Who's the editor of this film, and a fucking genius. And the final script of this, really the script of this movie was written in the edit room, and he adopted me, his whole family, Kira, the dogs, Rowie, they all adopted me, and I sat in their cottage in Highland Park every day for months, and they were very kind.
Did he stand up? Stand up.
Yes, stand
That's
up.
By the way, I almost skipped over this, but one of the best performances in the movie, like I was like, who is this
Thank
amazing
you.
actress?
Oh, sorry.
Josh Gad. Yeah. No, was you. I didn't know that was you playing Deirdre.
Yeah. How did that happen?
It was. Well, I co-wrote the script with Mike O'Brien, who I met on AP Bio because I was directing one of the episodes of his show, and we got along famously. And I wondered if he would be in the movie, which didn't work out at the time, but ended up not working out because he got a second season of his show. But then I said, "How would you feel about co-writing it with me?" Because I really don't like sitting alone in a room writing. And he's somebody who's both writes and performs and wants to continue to do both. And he assumed I was the same way because I started out as an actor. And so we had this cast list of people we wanted to work with. And he kept adding my name to the list, and I kept saying, I'm not going to be in the movie, Mike. I can't act and write at the same time. I can't act and direct at the same time. But then I thought, well, maybe I'll just be like the gal who comes in and gets her coat back. I thought, oh, okay, I'll do a cameo for you to shut you up. So I was like, I've always wanted to play a junkie. Maybe I'll come in and try and pawn something, to get some money for drugs. And then we realized as we were writing that we needed some kind of a way to track Mel's emotional arc. And we realized that maybe this would be an opportunity to do that. And I wouldn't have to be in, it very much. I could just be in that one scene. And since the camera work was pretty straightforward, I wasn't too worried about. I'd acted in Hump Day, and I swore I would never act and direct at the same time, because there's I have to turn my director brain off when I act. It's like I come out of a fugue state at the end of every take, and what just happened? But anyway, so I was just relieved I didn't ruin the movie.
And it's nice because you guys have a history together, so I feel like that weighs into the scene.
Not exactly
Not
that.
like
Thank God. We know each other, yes.
I think you're referring to the drug history?
Yes. I mean, we've done a few drugs. I'm just kidding.
No, you didn't know me when I did drugs.
No, I know, I didn't.
Probably better. Yeah, no, we definitely, it definitely helped that we knew each other and we worked together, yeah.
Before I open up to the audience, I just want to ask, because I think we probably have a lot of filmmakers, actors here, and I think pretty much all of you have sort of created your own work, whether out of desire or necessity. Is that something that you would really advocate for people and be your own sort of biggest supporter?
I mean, I'd say just beat your head against the wall, getting other people to give you permission.
I like the blurry line between desire and necessity. Because once it becomes necessity, desire is dying. Sure, of course you advocate for it, but you really don't know what's going to happen. But you gotta try, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, none of us would be here without the work that we've created on our own. I mean, Marc has, paved a career that is mind-boggling from the podcast to here. It's amazing. It's amazing. And Gillian started at Groundlings and is now a fucking movie star. I mean, it's all amazing. So I think that the one thing you have to do is just, you have to create in order to put yourself out there. Yeah, it's huge.
It's not a practical undertaking.
Is it though?
Is it?
I mean,
the weird thing is once you get into this thing, whatever you're doing, and especially if you're doing the front of the camera business or doing stand-up or whatever, is that if you're in it long enough, if you nurture your delusion long enough, what eventually happens is you have no choice. Like when I started the podcast, it was really one of those situations where it was fucking over, and there was no real plan B, because you have that weird moment during your mid-40s and you're like, what, fuck this, I could always, oh, fuck. There used to be something in that file, I don't know what. And then you realize the last job you had was a grill cook in fucking college. I'm like, they're probably gonna ask me what happened on my resume between working at Edibles in Coolidge Corner and fucking, Newton or wherever the fuck it was, and now. And be like, oh yeah, here's my Conan reel.
I am curious though, because I know you made this movie very quickly, and I'm guessing, I think, did you go shoot the Joker right after this?
Oh, that was right after.
Oh, okay.
Was it that short? Was it a few months?
No, it was like 6 months later.
Are you gonna try and get Joker things out of me?
Yes, please tell me everything that
No,
happened.
it's like, Todd Phillips is like, why don't you just pull back a little bit?
Really? Someone was asking you to pull back on
No,
emotion?
no, he didn't really say that. He like see, you're doing it. No, he didn't say pull back on it. He said I can talk about my experience with walking in De Niro, but like don't get just a no spoiler thing, which I didn't.
No, I was mostly curious. I have to imagine a movie like that, the craft service budget is more than you spent on this movie. Do you like sort of?
Unfortunately, that was one of my big regrets about the Joker movies. I didn't really have time to eat.
Oh.
Yeah, I was only there for like a day or two, and like actually I did. It was good. It was good. Yeah, it was. It had a lot of options, melon, nice stuff, hot food. This one not so great. I couldn't even. Well, it was okay. It was local.
Alabama, I mean.
Yeah, but you
No,
think
but
that.
we had like nutritious stuff. We had like,
Did we?
healthy stuff.
Right, but it
We
was.
had like egg muffin
But it was sort of
chops.
experimental. It was like someone's idea
Do
of
you
like,
remember this?
I'm just gonna cook something healthy. Yeah, they were. What was that? Like,
I just remember you started bringing your own breakfast.
for some reason I couldn't get the cereal I wanted.
I remember that Lynn, for some reason,
Oh, this is
you
gonna
had
be-
texted Mark and I something about like the scene you guys did today. Like, I'm so happy. I'm
You
so
were in that
excited that we're doing
shade.
this. And I was like, hey, Lynn, we're having a blast. You're the best. We do anything for you. And Mark wrote, I haven't gotten my breakfast yet. And it was, I think I did a screenshot because I laughed so hard at how funny that was.
That email chain.
I'm not a diva. I just want that to be clear. I
You're not a lot.
just eating it.
He just wanted his not bad yogurt. It's
Right.
not.
I'm not even eating that now, but it wasn't too much to ask. It was hot.
It was a simple request.
It was, right? But then it became this whole thing on set. It's like, did anyone get Mark? It's like not that big a deal.
No, that always becomes the.
I know it's like everyone's running around going, "Where's Mark's yogurt?" And I'm like, "Oh, come on, you guys." That was embarrassing.
Do you want to take a couple quick questions from the audience if you have one? Just raise your hand. We'll start right here.
Question for Lynn. I've heard of the flat earthers, but not of anyone saying the South won the war. Is that a real thing? And can you talk a little bit about the origins and inspirations for the story?
Is there a conspiracy theory out there that the South has won the Civil War? I think there's a lot of people who want the South to have won the Civil War.
They're still fighting it.
And they're still fighting it. We made up I think, we looked to make sure, but yeah.
But isn't it great we live in a culture where you actually didn't know?
And it really tickles me that people ask me if it's a real thing, because I get asked that all the time. But really, honestly, I can't blame anyone, because even though it makes zero sense when you think it through, that can be said for basically 99% of conspiracy theories that do exist out there. So why let that stop anyone from creating that one?
Mark was saying that you took an Uber ride with a flat earther?
Yes, and that was one of the more written scenes, because I wanted to recreate the experience I had with this guy this was before I understood that it was an au courant like thing that some people believe. And I apologize to, actually I don't.
Yes, anyone
apologize
here
to
before?
you. Not at all, apologies.
No more being diplomatic.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the end of a very long ride with a very normal seeming person who seemed intelligent intelligent and like a normal person, he's telling me about how the earth is flat, and my brain is just like trying to wrap around what he's saying. He clearly can't be serious, and then it was clear that he was serious, and I literally couldn't process it. And I just remember him turning around, he parked in front of my apartment, he looks back at me, and he says, listen, I know where you're at. I was exactly where you are a year ago. Get it? All you gotta do though, I'm telling you, just Google it. Just keep going. Just go deeper and deeper. Irrefutable. It's undeniable. And it was like, thank you very much, sir. That is going in a movie. I can't wait to put it in a movie, and John Bass had to do it. But yeah.
And I heard you actually did some research on like crazy conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I mean, flat Earth. Yeah. Watched a lot of YouTube videos.
Are you convinced?
I am not. No. Not good. I think Mark talks about this a lot too, but there is a point in every conspiracy theory where it gets to the point where Jews are bad. That's like that is the main point of
They all end up
They
there.
all end up there. So I was watching one and I was like, it's like the 21 facts about flat Earth, and I was like, oh, cool. Okay, yeah. I guess you could make sense of that. And then at the end, it's just like, and the Jews. What the fuck? But yeah, it was fun to do the research. That's a fun thing to research.
Did the Jews make the Earth flat, or they're Jews?
They've done everything.
Yeah.
It's apparently the problem.
Take another one. I'd love to take one from the back.
My family.
Except they don't have the greatest eyesight, so I might be missing your hand.
There isn't one.
Nobody has any.
They're all intimidated. They want to
They
know.
just want to leave.
They want the pressure right down here.
Did any of you have experience in the South prior to this?
Oh.
And if not, was it a cultural experience for you?
Well, did any of us have experience in the South prior to this? And what, if not, was it a cultural experience? Yeah, it was like visiting another planet for me. I've made 7 movies in the Pacific Northwest in Washington State, where I live in Seattle. And this was my first movie out of that state, much less in the South, which really was just very different culturally. Luckily, my producer, my executive producer, most of the crew, a few of the actors were from the South, so I felt like I really leaned on them heavily to make sure I was not misrepresenting the South. I wanted to represent it authentically. I wanted you to really get a sense of place of Birmingham, which is a city I really fell in love with when I was there, and I wanted not to feel like a Northerner coming in and condescending or feeling like she knew what she was talking about or making fun of the South, which was tricky because you're making a comedy in the South. But for instance, Toby Huss was the one I was probably most worried about because he was just so out there with his the Hogjaws character, and I had guys from the crew coming up to me constantly saying, "Oh man, I know that guy," and 10 times more, like 10 times crazier than him. I was like, thank God, okay, good, and it was great to get their nods of approval. So.
Toby was also so in character.
Oh, the whole time!
We went out to dinner with him, and he still had a little bit of the accent.
Yeah.
So that's how I met Toby. I thought that he was sort of like that, and he would say stuff that was a little just off center, and I'd be like, I don't know about this guy, and then met him afterwards in Los Angeles, and he's like, how you doing? Oh man, I've been hanging out with my kid, and he's just like such a lovely guy.
Yeah.
But he had to stay in it a little bit.
Yeah, and everybody who didn't know him before just thought that was him. They were like, I think he's crazy.
Yeah.
It's the kind of crazy you want to be around though, a little bit.
Yeah.
But not married.
Yeah. I've spent time down there working, doing stand-up over the years. I've grown to appreciate it. It's really kind of an amazing part of the country. And, there are shitty people everywhere, but there's a specific type down there, granted. But like, it is, a lot of history down there, and I've grown to sort of like it. And Birmingham, is full of progressive, decent, reasonable people, and the people that aren't are generally very polite. But you can kind of read through it, But yeah, I definitely have somewhat of a relationship with the South, and I've gotten more embracing of it because they don't like to be condescended to or stereotyped either. And it's very easy to stereotype Southerners, but there's a lot of decent people there. And they're surrounded by fucking morons, so you gotta really have to be nice to them.
The one thing I have to say about the South that I really enjoyed was how many just conversations I had with so many complete strangers. There is this genuine sort of warmth. And I remember my first night there was at Whole Foods, and I was trying to get like something out of the cooler case in front of a guy who was stocking the cooler case, and I was like, oh, excuse me, kind of like not making eye contact, and and he, as soon as he registered me, he was just like, well, how are you? What's your day been like? I was just like, what the fuck is going on? What's wrong with this guy? And it just kept happening to like person after person after person. So I came back to LA after a couple months in Alabama, and I'm just like, what's going on? And people just like, you are out of your mind. Oh, right, that's the whole thing. Yeah, I'm not supposed to do that here.
Maybe you're really big Hump Day fans.
Yeah.
Down there.
There's really nice people down
Yeah.
there. Yeah, it is, and there's good food, which
Too good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to that one place, what was that called? The something,
The
something
number
grill.
one restaurant,
Okay.
James Beard number one
That
restaurant.
was so
Highland
fucking
Cafe?
awesome. Highland, yeah,
Yeah.
bar and grill or something.
Yeah, it's really good.
Right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I do want to remind everyone, thank you so much for coming out and supporting independent cinema. Please spread the word about this movie. It's expanding to more and more cities. Thank you for being a great audience.